With a lot of your testing protocols, a lot of it seems to be, and this is maybe the impression I get, that a lot of the people that you're working with aren't doing enough of that low intensity zone 2 work, and you're developing thresholds so you can try and stay in this intensity domain, please. Why is training at a low intensity so important for these particular athletes, particularly CrossFitters?
From what I've been able to see and I guess learn from all the proponents of this type of work in the endurance world and see as a direct effect on CrossFitters, it's really the foundation for all the other adaptations and all the training that you're going to do. So the way that I like to describe is that zone 2 is, unless you're a marathon runner or an ultra distance runner, zone 2 is not specific to your sport. Zone 2 is general in nature. And what's great about general is that it's going to transfer to everything that's specific. So people need to stop thinking about, okay, how is that zone 2 going to make me faster in my Fran time, for example? I don't like to think about it that way. I like to think about it in the following way. That zone 2 is going to allow you to train more often, tolerate more intensity, tolerate more volume, recover better between sets, recover better between training sessions. That in turn is going to push your performance up. We know how it works with tonnage, with weightlifters, and how that correlates highly to performance on the competition floor. We know how volume of training, especially low intensity training, correlates well with every endurance sports, from biathlon to marathon training and all those other disciplines, even cycling as well. They're starting to see that in, I believe it was Peter Leo, Jaron Schwartz, and James Sprague that published something recently where they were looking at essentially the power duration relationship, so critical power, to talk simply, fresh and then under fatigue, and then look at what elements of training have the biggest influence on the decrement of power between a fresh critical power profile and a critical power profile after 2,000 kilojoules of work or something like that. I forget exactly how they assessed it. And they saw that obviously that volume in the moderate domain had the best influence on least decrement of power between fresh and fatigued critical power profile, which is paramount for a cyclist who needs to ride for 4 hours and then needs to sprint and then needs to be able to push in the last 10 kilometers. So we see those performance metrics arise in CrossFit. Again, everything that I've heard, and it always takes 8 to 12 weeks. That's kind of the window of adaptation for those who have never done it or weren't doing it at the right intensity or weren't doing enough of it. After 8 to 12 weeks, they all come back and say, I feel better when I do intensity. So they're actually able to push harder in their high intensity sessions thanks to the low intensity training that they've done. So like I said, the foundation, the support for the high intensity training, they're able to tolerate more volume of training in general. Some of them even say that they sleep better. Obviously, if we stay on CrossFit, it's such a sympathetic dominant kind of sport. It's all high intensity all the time. Obviously, the best of the best don't train like this all the time because they've reached such a high level now that they can really dig themselves into a hole if they were to train that way. So there's obviously a lot of work on skill and movement efficiency, but still there's a high training volume. Same for combat sports, high demand, especially for mixed martial arts, where it's super time consuming to become good at all those different sports. And so that zone 2 work is just going to allow you to tolerate more training in general and then recover better. And that is going to feed into your performance directly. So without even going to the physiology, that's what I've seen as a training effect of that low intensity training. And for somebody doing none of it, just doing 1 to 2 hours a week, again, for 8 to 12 weeks is going to have some pretty significant effects. And then for those who are ready to do a little bit more, usually the return on investment is well worth it.